Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC. Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning, and I'm so glad that you've joined us this morning because we have a lot to cover. Let's get right to it with viewer comments. A little bit later on, we are going to hear from Robbie Johnson in the 6 o'clock hour. We've had him on the program in the past. He has a new single out, so we'll have that coming up in just a moment. But let's go to viewer comments. First up, this came in after yesterday's broadcast. That was a COVID That was a COVID relief program, and it was not meant to be permanent. That is in reference to John Fetterman saying that basically Democrats set this up, meaning the expiration of those Obamacare subsidies, so that this is not a Republican creation. This is the Democrats' own creation. Now, Representative Ro Khanna from California, of course a Democrat, said that the Democrats passing the Affordable Care Act, because it was completely voted on by Democrats, having the sunset for subsidies that they created, doesn't mean we've created the health crisis. Interesting how that works. No, the crisis was that we didn't have health insurance in this country. That 35 plus million people would go into huge medical debt. The young people were not covered. And then President Obama, in a historic achievement, rivaling the creation of Medicare and Medicaid, finally covered people on the exchanges. And that was a monumental achievement. The Republicans have been trying to repeal that ever since. Why? Just because it's called Obamacare. They just want to repeal everything Obama did. But what we're trying to do is strengthen it. And ultimately, yes, we need single payer and Medicare for all. But we can't, in the meantime, have premiums doubling for this country. Unfortunately, now people like Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and Republicans recognize that we should be extended. It's concerning me about Marjorie Taylor Greene that she's being quoted by Ro Khanna. But I'll continue. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole again. So the host on CNN Situation Room said, Pamela Brown, said, right, but it was Democrats, the Democrats who were in control. They put this expiration date for the Affordable Care Act subsidies. And now Democrats are saying, look, we're not going to vote for this clean continuing resolution until we do something and extend the subsidies. Was this a mistake back in 2022 not to push to extend them longer so that they're not in the position you're in right now? That's a fair question from CNN, one that you're not typically going to see. Ro Khanna said, well, some of us wanted to extend, make them permanent, but President Biden was doing the best he could. We didn't get a single Republican vote on that, and he had to deal with people like Kristen Sinema in the Senate. And so he did what he could get with that extension. The reality, though, is that there's been one party in this country, from FDR to Lyndon Johnson to Barack Obama to Joe Biden, who has tried to extend health care to every American and lower costs. And there's been another party, the Republican Party, that has opposed that and at every step of the way to provide tax breaks for the billionaires. And it's a clear divide. Now, fortunately, there are cracks in the Republican base because they understand working class Americans can't afford these extraordinary premiums and we need health care reform. So those cracks in the base, Marjorie Taylor Greene playing that role. But no, we created this mess, but no, we didn't create this mess. Explain that to me. That was a great political answer, a non-answer. James Clyburn, discussing the government shutdown, he said that Republicans aren't allowing the tax credits that come along with the Affordable Care Act that make it affordable. So admitting in his statement that the Affordable Care Act is not affordable. The only way it's affordable is with tax credits. So I know that was a long kind of addition to that viewer's comment, but I'm glad that John Fetterman is speaking out. Oh, I'm buffering terribly? Really? How bad? Thank you. I got a comment from a viewer. On antenna, buffering terribly. I'm on antenna too, and I'm looking down at the bottom. It doesn't seem to be that bad. Is it the audio and the video delaying or pausing? Let me know. I don't know of any way I can fix it. But let me know if others are having the problem. We'll continue. Mark writes in, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. Kiss guitarist Ace Frehley dies at 74 years old. Yes, he has passed away. His family confirmed, saying, we are completely devastated and heartbroken. In his last moments, we were fortunate enough to have been around to surround him with loving, caring, peaceful words, thoughts, prayers, and intentions as he left this earth. We cherish all of his finest memories, his laughter, and celebrate his strengths and kindness that he bestowed upon others. The magnitude of his passing is of epic proportion and beyond comprehension. Reflection on all this incredible life on all of his incredible life achievements, Ace's memory will continue to live on forever. Okay, seems to have cleared up good. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what the problem was. If you have any more problems, you can. I got a couple comments in there. Please keep them coming in. So Frehley, Ace Frehley from Kiss, passing away peacefully, surrounded by his family. He recently, it is being announced, fell at his home. Mark continues. A bill to fund the military during government shutdown had failed in the Senate procedural vote. Now, we know temporarily Trump had it so that they will be paid, but a vote to pay the military, it says here the House bill, so I think it was House maybe, but a House-approved bill that would fund the U.S. military during the ongoing federal government shutdown failed to pass the Senate. There we go. Sorry, I worded that strange, Mark. The House bill required at least 60 votes in the 100-member Senate to advance. The final vote was 50 to 44, with just 3 Democrats joining most Republicans in voting to fund our military. Continuing with Mark's statement, Trump says he will meet with Putin in Hungary to discuss an end of the Ukraine and Russia war. I saw that as well. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Comment. Yeah, just lag, nothing I can do. Thank you. Thank you for everybody weighing in on that. Just double checking. Yeah, I don't have any way I can fix that. Okay. Comment from a different viewer this morning. Saturday is the No Kings, Just Peasants rallies. So bring your whole family. I can't read that next statement. People are going to be eating breakfast to be mad at me about what the food would be at a peasants rally. I appreciate it, but I'm not even breakfast and I'm not crazy about it. But I think it's funny and I appreciate it. Yes, the No Kings rally, as a matter of fact, if you are curious, if you are attending, by the way, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to see pictures. There is a rally. Let me get it here because we're fair here on Frankly Speaking. The No Kings rallies are planned in the region for Saturday, this Saturday. The No Kings rally in Elmira will be at 317 East Church Street from 9 till 11 a.m. Then you can bop on over to the Corning rally, which will be held from noon to 1 p.m. at Centerway Square. Perfect. And this is from our friends at the Star Gazette, specifically Jeff Smith. What I like about this is that it obviously creates bigger numbers for the pictures, right? So you go to Elmira, that group then comes to Corning. It's tactical. They're not doing it at the same time. Now, Indivisible, Corning, Elmira, and Citizens for a Better Southern Tier are organizing the rally. So whatever that means to you. All right, comment from a different viewer. If you do go, let me know. Morning, Frank. Well, good morning. I just saw on Big Fox News where the mayor of Hornell is bucking Hochul's all-electric mandate in the same way that New York State refuses to comply with federal laws. To me, this is a light at the end of the tunnel. If every county in New York State were to tell Hochul where to go with all her idiotic ideas, the counties could take control of the state, or at least rein in the influence of the one-party rule and subsequently the influence of the big blue-leaning cities. What do you think? Will each red-leaning county get on board and say enough is enough? That'd be wonderful. Let me give you a little more information on that. That's our good friend here, Mayor John Buckley. He's been on the program numerous times, does a wonderful job. Matter of fact, I got to reach out to him, and we haven't had him on in a little bit. But this was actually the city of Hornell voting on this. So it would be great to have it go to, and I think there's been discussion of it at the county level. So yes, counties speaking up, cities speaking up. This coming from our friends at the Hornell Sun. If you don't check out the Hornell Sun, you're missing out a lot. You might say, well, I'm not in Hornell. They have a lot of coverage of Corning issues, Addison issues. I've seen all of our surrounding areas. So the Hornell Sun can be found online. And they said this about exactly what that viewer is speaking to. The Hornell Common Council took decisive action to support the Energy Choice Act, legislation introduced by Congressman Nick Langworthy, with co-sponsor Senator Jim Justice of West Virginia. The bill is designed to protect consumer access to natural gas and other affordable energy sources, prevent state and local bans that could limit choice, raise costs, and reduce reliability to households and businesses. The support for the bill followed an extensive presentation by New York State Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, which includes his district includes Hornell. Assemblyman Palmisano detailed his experience during a statewide energy tour, highlighting the potential negative impacts of new legislation set to take effect January 1st, 2026. Phil Palmisano outlined that many of the concerns implementation of the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act could have locally, including rising energy costs, reliability challenges, as well as hindering housing and economic development. Mayor John Buckley expressed his appreciation to Congressman Langworthy for spearheading the legislation, stating, quote, like many communities across the state, the city of Hornell continues to face significant increases in energy costs. Removing the option of natural gas would only worsen this burden by raising construction costs for new homes and buildings, which will ultimately hinder residential and economic development. I fully support the Federal Energy Choice Act, which would preserve consumer energy options and help maintain affordability. Mayor Buckley added one project that the IDA, the Industrial Development Agency, has been working on is bringing new single-family housing to Hornell, which is something our community truly needs. An all-electric mandate and limited energy choice would dramatically increase costs for developers and ultimately for home buyers. And that's just one project. This type of mandate will have real effects in our community with negative impacts on growth, development, and energy reliability. The Common Council's resolution affirms the importance of keeping energy choice, I'm going fast here, I know, I'm sorry. Energy choice available for residents and businesses in Hornell. By supporting H.R. 3699 and S. 1945, the Council is working to ensure that local families can access affordable, reliable energy while protecting opportunities for housing and economic growth. So yes, kudos to Congressman Langworthy. Kudos to Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, and kudos to Mayor John Buckley of Hornell, because we need cities, we need towns, we need counties to embrace not only Langworthy's bill, but also speak out on these disastrous policies coming from Albany that are going to cost us so much, reduce the quality, the efficiency of our energy. I think that's wonderful. And I'm going to make a note here. We're going to have to reach out to Mayor Buckley soon and have him back on the program. It's been a little while, and again, I'm excited for him for spearheading. How's that? But that, again, you can find the full article yourself, because there's a little bit I skipped over there. You can find the full article yourself at hornellsun.com, hornellsun.com, and I just made a note to contact Mayor Buckley. Okay. Right before we go to break, because I'm running a little late, we have some other comments, some waves coming in. You know, is this right? Would it be the 3rd anniversary of Frankly Speaking will be coming up in March? It's hard to believe. Very hard to believe. But we're having a blast every day. We're growing every day, and I do appreciate that. But if you're thinking, what could we do to spice things up, to freshen up maybe the set? Well, I've got an idea, but I'm going to need your help. You're going to have to donate it to me. I just thought this was interesting. The curtains, that could be beautiful right behind us here. The curtains that hung during the final episode of The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson are up for auction ahead of what would have been the late night, legend, his 100th birthday, which would be October the 24th. So the final episode, which was closed to just basically ticket invite only audience. if you're just curious, but it was the last episode. Heritage Auction is selling the Technicolor curtains that fell behind Carson during his final monologue. We don't need to go through that whole last episode. I'm sure you recall it. 50 million viewers tuned in. The curtain includes shimmery blue, orange, gold, lavender, and peach polyester fabric. There's also a second set of blue and gray curtains featuring cross-hatch diamond patterns included as the backdrop, according to the listing. In that auction, there's also going to be a larger auction with other memorabilia, including stuff from Batman, the Honeymooners, and Gilligan's Island. So this coveted piece of late-night history is currently going for a starting bid. Keep this in mind if you think it should be in the background here. $5,500, but that is the starting bid. All right, on that note, let's take a short break. We've got actual breaking news. We're, of course, going to talk. What were your thoughts? We've got to talk about the debate, the mayoral debate last night, which we're going to go through some updates first, so stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
Hi, this is Titzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is a start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Young's Tires is the leading tire dealer and auto repair shop in the area. Young's Tires has been serving the area for over 50 years. Trust the team at Young's Tires and Horseheads to keep you and your family safe on the road. From pumpkin patches to scenic views, let Michelin Tires guide you to a world of cozy destinations. Get up to $60 for your reward card or virtual prepaid card on purchase of 4 or more new Michelin passenger or light truck tires totaling $900 or more. Offer valid 8/28/2025 through 9/23/2025.
The Bix website is here now. WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather, up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website. Your news here now. WYDCTV.com.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Let's go to some viewer comments. Good morning, Frank. Steve here. Well, good morning, Steve. And yes, I do sell health insurance. What the Republicans are trying to do is remove the additional subsidies that were implemented because of COVID. COVID is over. There's no reason for all the additional subsidies to continue to be flowing into the coffers of the insurance carriers. But it doesn't matter. The maximum out-of-pocket is always increasing up to $10,600 per person during the course of a year. Democrats want to convince everybody that they're removing the subsidies when actually all they're doing is clawing back what was added because of COVID. Thank you, Steve, and thank you for your insight there. I appreciate that. A viewer sent in the story that came out yesterday about the secret fleet of ghost ships moving Russia's oil. Well, they believe that will be coming into Trump's crosshairs. It's unmarked and hidden from commercial tracking systems. A growing fleet of ghost ships is quietly delivering sanctioned Russian oil to ports in China and India, intensifying tensions with Washington as high-stakes trade negotiations unfold between both countries. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Also, a quote from Speaker Johnson about the AOC Bernie Sanders town hall that we mentioned yesterday. He had this to say about it. CNN hosts the first socialist town hall where Bernie Sanders and AOC said the quiet parts out loud. They didn't know what they want to end the shutdown. They couldn't provide a single viable solution for the mess that they themselves have gleefully created. And by the way, those are the real leaders of the Democratic Party, AOC and Bernie. Good luck with that. Thank you, Speaker Johnson. And Mark writes in, just a thought, you could change up your intro music. Mark, I wasn't actually looking for suggestions. I just wanted somebody to buy me the Carson curtains. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you. We'll keep that in mind. We got plenty of time before the 3-year anniversary. It was more about bringing up Carson. All right. We have our interview coming up in the next segment, but a couple of things. U.S. carries out another strike on a suspected drug vessel in the Caribbean, this time leaving survivors among the boat's crew. It is not yet clear whether the U.S. military offered aid to the survivors or whether they are in military custody. A U.S. official who informed Reuters of the strike did not provide any additional information on the attack. Jim Banks, Representative Jim Banks, Senator, I should say, Jim Banks, said after years of seeing American blood and treasure spent making faraway parts of the world safer, President Trump and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth are using our might to neutralize drug smuggling in our hemisphere. Boats carrying deadly drugs are being vaporized by Reaper drones on a seemingly weekly basis. This is America First foreign policy in action. Every boat out of Venezuela that our Reaper drone destroys is carrying poison that could destroy families and communities. The response to this operation from the Venezuelan government has been telling. Its leaders haven't thanked America for eliminating narco-terrorists or offering to help. Instead, they've issued condemnation and denials that these boats are full of drugs. That's because they've been killing their colleagues. We've been killing their colleagues. Venezuela is a narco state, a cartel masquerading as a government. Great point. I don't want to go through their whole history. You don't need all that. We don't have time for all that. President Trump campaigned on targeting the threat of drug cartels with the same vigor that past presidents targeted distant nations for unnecessary regime change. He's delivering on that promise. It's incumbent upon my fellow senators to support the president on his mission to eradicate drug cartels. The Senate recently rejected a resolution meant to handcuff the president's ability to target narco traffickers coming out of Venezuela. A few conservatives have shown concern that this fight against narco trafficking could devolve into a protracted conflict. To them, I say, trust Trump. The president has repeatedly shown, as recently as this summer in Iran, that while he is willing to use a military force to further our national interest, he is careful to ensure we do not get stuck in a quagmire. This is a military operation that is significantly more tied to America's core interest than many of the foreign excursions to which D.C. has given its full support. Maduro isn't simply a socialist who ruined Venezuela's economy. He is peddling drugs that kill our neighbors. He must be stopped. Thank you to Jim Banks, represents Indiana in the U.S. Senate. I keep saying that strangely. All right, when we come back, we are going to hear from Robbie Johnson. I want to hear your thoughts on the mayoral debate. Then we're going to talk about, first we're going to talk about John Bolton, just quickly, an update on Letitia James, and then the mayor's race. But we've got Robbie Johnson coming up in just a moment. Quick little interview. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
Want to read about ancient wonders? Go to your local library today.
But this isn't your father's library. It's the home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer or face off a dragon in the D&D club. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine rentals. Create with the 3D printer or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
This is a collector consumer alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you. Call me now.
Lease a brand new 2026 Nissan Rogue SV all-wheel drive featuring heated seats and heated steering wheel for only $359 a month for 36 months. Make carbine simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Nissan in Horseheads and Hornell.
Something with a diamond in it.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
It's in the name. Name a low-calorie food you might make your edible underwear out of.
Salmon.
Watch it weeknights. Share it the next day.
Wild caught Norwegian teriyaki.
Share in the fun. Weeknights on Family Feud.
7 and 7:30 on
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and joining us in the virtual studio, Robbie Johnson. Welcome back to the show. Thanks for being on.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. It's fun. It's fun. And yes, I've got some good news coming up.
You do. Now, I've got a big question for you, because out of all songs to cover, or to have your own version of, I don't like the term cover, your own version of, you decide a legendary AC/DC, You Shook Me All Night Long. Is that intimidating?
Yes,
okay.
Very, very intimidating. And yeah, I mean, it's the song they want to be remembered by.
Yeah.
But it was released 45 years ago. So I really, the way I approached it, and the reason I chose that song, I wanted to do a cover on the album. I'm releasing a full-length album. Wanted to put a cover on there, and I was going through some playlists and trying to find the perfect song to cover. And I thought, wait a minute, there's a song I do live that I always get a huge reaction out of it, because as soon as people hear that guitar riff, their eyes open and their arms just go up.
Yeah,
they can't even control it. They just everybody goes crazy. And everybody in the world has heard that song at least once. And everybody knows it. Everybody loves it. It's, like you said, it's an epic, it's a staple rock song. And it's the song they want to be remembered by. And so my thing, because usually people say when you do a cover, you have to make it your own. And if you're a male vocalist, you choose a female vocalist song, and then you change it. And I don't care about me. No. It's all about the song. It's all about people enjoying that song and having a great time. When I do it live, they love it.
Of course.
Because they're not expecting a rock song at a country concert. They love the fact that I'm not reinventing the song.
Right.
So that's why with Danny, we decided this is more of a tribute. This is more a homage to the song. So let's keep the AC/DC DNA of the song.
You have
the heart and soul of the song, electric guitar riff, and also the drum pattern. I mean, this was originally produced by Mutt Lange. I think he knows a little bit.
Don't try to reinvent the wheel, right?
Yeah, exactly. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Exactly. So that's why we kept the heart and soul of the song, but then added a country flavor to it. The fiddle from Janae Fleener, amazing fiddle player, one of the best in Nashville, won many CMA awards for that, and so fun to work with. And she just played the perfect parts to add that country flavor. And then Danny, my producer, he added also, the B3 piano, and we have those more country vocal harmonies happening in the song. So it has a country flavor, but it could still play on a rock station, and it can play on a country station. And it's funny because I've got many PDs, MDs,
of course,
country radio stations like, we grew up listening to that music. I mean, we're all about rock, and now we have a country station.
Right.
And we can finally play this song.
Right.
So they're really,
it's perfect.
Really happy.
And you countryed it up just perfect, right? And so you've got that aspect to it. But back to your point, it's a standard at parties. Is it even really a party if you don't hear the song at least once?
Yeah. I mean,
right?
You gotta have, totally. Either this one or Thunderstruck. But,
No. If you have to pick between the two, obviously pick the best of the two because, like you said, it just pumps up the audience so perfectly.
Oh,
and it's so appropriate. 45th anniversary, so you get to almost celebrate with them, right?
Yeah, totally. And it's really a tribute to what they brought and the influence they had and everything. So many people. We use music as it's the soundtrack to our lives, and it's been a part of so many people's lives, and in a good way. So yeah, I'm really
perfect pick.
Yeah,
it's a perfect pick. I know it came out just a few short days ago. What's the reaction been?
Yeah. Great reaction, lots of great comments. People are really enjoying it, and I've got some playlist ads. There's
Great.
a playlist. They're close to 825,000 followers. So I mean, the streams are going up.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Fast. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
As an old radio guy, I don't understand the stream counts. That's always getting a little confusing to me, but I'm guessing that's a very good thing. Right?
Yeah, it's a good thing. So someone has to listen to it for at least, I don't know how many seconds, 20 something or 30. Wow. They change it from time to time.
Yeah.
But for Nielsen SoundScan to say it's a stream, and also it's because and it's crazy because kids, they will listen to the hook of the song and switch.
Oh yeah. Which,
so
it's like listening.
You gotta get there quick.
It's like listening to Scan on your radio, just driving down the road, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Totally. They have a playlist, and it's like bloop, bloop, and it keeps switching. Like, can we hear the whole song?
Well, have you found too? Because it's such an iconic song, but there's probably actually people that are hearing your version, perhaps for the first time hearing "You Shook Me All Night Long." So you're kind of the person that introduces them to it, right? I mean, with a younger country crowd.
I guess, but I mean, I can't imagine people. Are there really people out there that
you're
never
right.
heard the song?
Yeah, you're right. Not my best question. No, that's
if I do, then wow, that's great.
Yeah. To think that maybe a new AC/DC best of is going to be sold because of you. I think that's happened. That's my prediction. How's that? But this comes off the heels of the recently released You Pick the Flowers, which is a very kind of a very different song. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, totally different.
You're catching everybody with everything, right?
I mean, that's the thing. My publicist Scott keeps, he's telling me, Robbie, we can't put you in a box.
Right.
You never know where you're going.
Right.
It's like, because I released a very heartfelt song, More Than You Think, that was, about my grandparents, my grandfather Leo, and everything. And it was very, ballad, and it was very heartfelt and all that. And then afterwards, I released "Thank God It's Friday," a song about me loving my beer.
Yeah.
You think it's a love song released on Valentine's Day, but it's actually me, loving my beer.
Its own love song. It's still a love song.
It's still a love song.
Yeah.
But he was like, we never know where you're going, and we can't put you in a box. Well, that's me.
That's a good thing.
A lot of it has to do with the live show. There's nothing, it's, you go see an artist live and all the songs, but it's all the same song over and over again sometimes, and it kind of gets, it's cool, and
right.
But I like to, for me, a show, it's like a journey, and we start here, we go there, and we travel.
Right.
We, different influences, different flavors, and it's something that I don't want it to be the same thing over and over again.
Right.
Kind of like, Garth is a major influence, and it's kind of that with Garth. I mean,
right.
His songs, he was going left and right. There wasn't really just a one Garth Brooks sound.
Right.
Aside, even his vocals, he would do a song and change his vocals to go
right.
with the song, and you would just, of course, that works. It works for me. So I'm kind of the same, where I released songs that had a reggae feel to it,
sure.
Country rock, old very traditional country sounding songs, and it's all because if you see my show live, that's the reason. I go to different eras and play with that, and I always finish with rocks, more country rock,
Yeah.
hard hitting,
Yeah, sure.
electric guitars, where the energy is the highest.
Yeah, leave them wanting more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Is it difficult to make a set list when it's so diverse of a kind of music catalog?
Yeah, well, it kind of makes it easier.
Okay.
Because since it's not the same song over and over again, that you can just, shake and, here's that
Yeah,
list.
that's true. Yeah, that is true.
That's easy. For me, no, it's actually, it is kind of tough.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you got to pick the songs, and I always like to add some covers. Because, being an artist, and I'm not pretentious, and I always feel like, they don't know my music.
Sure.
They don't know me, so I got to put in those, great classic.
Sure.
The
hits.
Crowd pleasers.
Yep.
Yeah, crowd pleasers in there to keep them motivated, but it just lifts the show. But yeah, so I really look at it where, okay, we start here, then we go back in traditional country. We stop, kind of like we reset the show with traditional country, train beats, and it's solely something else. And then you see people they start clapping, and then they enjoy it. And I like to bring them down different paths. And but it's fun to come up with the set list.
I'm sure.
And imagine, being in the audience, how would I feel, with this set list?
Yeah. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day, right? And now, correct me if I'm wrong, I was on your website, but your album's coming out soon too, right?
Yeah, October 24th. It's
So
coming out.
You got a lot going on then, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's just that it's done, and I just wanted it to be out.
Yeah, sure.
Because they're like, well, there should be at least 4 weeks apart. It's like, no, October 10th, You Shook Me All Night Long.
Right.
October 24th,
Perfect.
Album, Hot Summer Nights, and I have a new focus track for that, which is Getting Gear,
Okay.
a country rock song. So, yeah, I'm really excited for it to be out there.
How long is the process, or at least for you, to make Hot Summer Nights? Excuse me.
Well, I was going, single by single, not really thinking of releasing an album, but then I'm like, I got to release an album and take all those singles, new releases, unreleased music, that cover, and just bundle everything together, because I feel like, maybe some people passed on, they didn't notice a song or whatnot. So it's a great way to, pitch it to the world a second time, and maybe they go and to see the album for track 13, which is You Shook Me All Night Long, but then go, oh, wait a minute, what else does he have?
Yeah.
And just go down. It's like, oh my God, June and July, this is really good. And you never know. So it's a way for me to represent the music and reintroduce it to the world.
And perfect time, right before the holidays, right?
But I don't think about it.
You don't think that far ahead? Yeah.
No, it's like when I released More Than You Think,
Yeah.
a heartfelt song, about my grandfather Leo. I picked a date on the calendar, and as I picked a date, I was, uploading the release to my to my aggregator and all that, and then I looked at the calendar, and that weekend it was National Grandparents Day.
What's the chances
I
of that?
didn't know it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't planned. It just happened that way. So I'm really bad at this. It just
really good.
Happens.
Really good if you think about it.
I don't have any credit.
Yeah.
I don't have any credit. It just happened. And so except for the Thank God It's Friday, that love song that I released on Valentine's, because it was a love song. So I did. That one was thought.
That was planned ahead.
That was planned.
So when we talk, and you mentioned Garth Brooks, when you look back at your career, who were your early influences? And then you obviously have the connection with AC/DC, so kind of eclectic if we just look at these first two right off the jump. Who were your influences growing up?
Many influences. I love every genre of music, and as soon as I hear a pattern, anything, there's notes, there's patterns, I listen to it, I pay attention. So I would listen to many genres of music. So there's not really one in particular, and I'm still influenced today, but by what's coming out today.
Sure.
It's just a collection of everything I've heard in the past. But yes, Garth Brooks, country, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Michael Jackson. I mean, there's so many different. Def Leppard, AC/DC.
Sure.
I mean, there's everything you would hear in the movies, in the on TV, on MTV, on anywhere on the radio. I would
absorb it, like take it all in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Absorb it.
Yeah. Did you always know from a young age that you wanted to get into kind of the music business?
No.
Okay.
Oh, no. No. I had a totally different life. Yeah. I know a lot of artists, they're like, at 5, I was singing in front of the mirror.
And a hairbrush.
Yeah, with a hairbrush. I knew that's what I wanted to do. Or early, I was 11. I went to a concert, a George Strait concert. I knew that's what it didn't happen to me. That didn't happen. Music was always a part of my life. I just didn't know how much it impacted my life. I was too young and I didn't pay attention. I was absorbing everything, but it never clicked that, oh my God.
You could use it for something. Yeah.
Always played a huge part of my life. I just never realized it, how much it was important to me. And but then, so I was a sales rep on the road selling industrial products, and I'm a very creative guy. I would invent tools. I would, write songs. I would, I'm very artistic, paint, sculpt, do many different things. But at one point, my girlfriend was like, "Hey, the songs you're singing, they're kind of good. You should do something about it." I was like, "No. I'm not an artist. I'm not a singer. I'm not a songwriter. No." But then she offered me a Christmas gift, which was a demo session in a studio to go over the songs. Wow. And I thought, that's the worst gift ever. I'm not a singer. So I went in there with no apprehension. I didn't go there. I went with my father-in-law, and I was like, let's just be done with this, and have fun doing it.
Right.
So I decided to do one of my country rock songs that I had written, influenced by the Stones. I'll Be There, Rocking and Rolling. Sure. And I started singing, and the guys were like, "Oh my God, where do you come from? What are you doing here? You should be in Nashville." I was like, "Come on, guys."
You say that to all the guys, right?
Yeah, let's just be done with this. Yeah. But really, I needed that little push to confront my fear, I guess, because every time. So many times in my life I've said, I'm never going to do this. It's because deep down I knew I was going to do it. I just didn't want to face it. I was scared. And so I needed that push.
Wow. Amazing
and it
story.
Changed. I mean, and then I released it on social media. It snowballed. People reaching out, started going back and forth to Nashville, and here I am today. Wow. I mean, it's a crazy ride.
Well, that's a perfect,
totally different life.
I'm sure it sounds it, but the perfect bookend there, because we got out now the version of AC/DC's "You Shook Me All Night Long," and the album coming out in just about 10 days, 10 days. So, and that's Hot Summer Nights. Where's the best place to find out more about you? What's next? Those type of things.
All right. So I see you have my website over there, Robbie-Johnson. Thank you so much, Robbie-Johnson.com. And my social media handle, pretty much all my social media, is Robbie Johnson Music.
Okay.
So ROBBY Johnson Music, and you will find me Facebook and everywhere, Instagram, TikTok, and whatnot.
And you can order the album right from your website, I'm assuming. Pre-order right now.
There are links that sends you to the DSP of your choice.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, perfect. What's next?
Going on tour. I mean, performing live. That's the main goal. I'm working with an agent right now. We're texting back and forth and trying to secure dates for 2026. Maybe there's probably going to be some in 2025, but mostly concentrating on 2026, getting out there and just having a blast, because it's the best feeling. It's the best feeling when you're with the band, you're in the moment.
Yeah.
And it's insane.
Nothing
it's
like
really
it.
Insane.
Well, make sure you come up our way. Corning, New York. All right, look it up. See if we can get you booked. All right. All right. Well, let's talk again soon. All right. Best of luck with the album.
Yes, thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Thanks for being on. All right, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
Your tap water is delicious.
I know, right? It's this Culligan Smart drinking water system.
What do you think is going on in there?
I'm smelling a touch of chlorine.
Yeah, I'm detecting some PFAS.
I'm also getting notes of lead.
Perfection.
Sending it up.
Here we go.
Certified to reduce more than 70 contaminants. It's like having your own team of water experts. See the smart difference at Culligan.com.
This isn't your mother's library. Create with the 3D printer. Release your inner audio engineer or sewing machine rentals, all with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and the drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Football Show breaks down all things NFL. GMFB Overtime.
Check out top highlights, player interviews, special guests, and everything in between. 5 days a week.
GMFB Overtime. It's football for everyone.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you to Robbie Johnson for being on the program. We've got so many viewer comments to get to. Let's get right to them. And we do have a Climate Fact Friday with Bob. We'll read at the top of the hour. Okay. I'm so happy that the insurance man brought up that information. That was Steve who wrote in about the COVID in regards to Obamacare and the COVID subsidies. Okay, that makes sense. They've probably been dipping out of that COVID healthcare subsidy somehow. That's why they don't want it to disappear. Also, they want some way to blame Republicans for anything they can dig up. That's for sure. They're trying. And that's why I give John Fetterman a lot of credit for calling it out, saying, no, this is a problem they created, the Democrats. It wasn't Republicans. Continuing, a viewer writes in, Virginia Attorney General Jason Myers challenges Jay Jones over violent text messages. Jay Jones, we've talked about those violent text messages. They had a debate last night. What the Attorney General Jason, I think I'm pronouncing it right, Myers, said is, I find it a little bit stunning that today you say one of the pillars of your public safety platform is protecting children. Were you protecting Jennifer's children when you said you wanted to see them die in their mother's arms? Yeah, that was a powerful takeaway from that debate. Thank you. I'm glad. I was going to mention that later, but I'm glad you got to it ahead of time so I can focus on the mayor's debate here in a moment. Comment from a different viewer. This was in regards to our interview with Robbie Johnson. I played You Shook Me in a band. It's one of my favorites by AC/DC. Just a fact check, though. But the Hammond B3 is not a piano, but it is an organ. Thank you for that. Comment from a different viewer. Look like Democrats' approach on crime is if you let criminals, they won't be on the street, i.e. Tish James, Jay Jones, Bob Menendez, so many others. We're going to talk more about that. Comment from a different viewer. Just listen to the cover. The Robbie Johnson cover, You Shook Me All Night Long. Good rendition. Not as profoundly changed as Joe Cocker's With a Little Help from My Friends, but interesting. Well, that could be the bar that's set in quote-unquote covers or versions. I mean, it wasn't even Paul McCartney who said that they no longer owned With a Little Help from My Friends. It is Joe Cocker's. Full disclosure, Joe Cocker's my all-time favorite. So, yes, I don't think anything will reach to that level. But I appreciate your comment. All right, ex-Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton was indicted yesterday on charges of mishandling classified information. He's facing decades in prison. The indictment in Maryland, The federal court alleges that Bolton transmitted classified national security documents through a personal AOL email account and knowingly sent secret material to outside contacts while serving in the Trump administration. That should come as no surprise. John Bolton is someone who believes or knows that he is the smartest person to walk in a room. Now, in full disclosure, I had a very nice interview with John Bolton in the past, but you see it with his coverage. You see it when he was working in the Trump administration. He thought he knew better than the man elected by the people of the United States. So it's no surprise that he would allegedly leak that information. They said that he used an email and various messaging apps to send documents classified as high as top secret that revealed intelligence about future U.S. attacks, foreign adversaries, and international relations. He kept diary-like notes of his daily activities and assessments, more than 1,000 pages of which he shared with two relatives, believed to be his wife and daughter, who did not have security clearances and were not authorized to see the information that Bolton shared. Probably was preparing for his autobiography or biography with those, or thinking that the history books would want to document his life. So anyway, not really a surprise about these alleged misconduct. We could go through all the allegations. I don't want to go through what all the media says, because the media is pretending that this is all because Bolton spoke ill of President Trump. And that's Bolton's excuse, that he's a victim of Trump's DOJ. But the investigation actually began during Biden's years. That's a very important note to make. The charges, if proven, are possibly more serious than those in other high-profile investigations into the mishandling of classified material, such as those related to Hillary Clinton, Mike Pence, Joe Biden, and Trump. That's because Bolton is alleged to have actively disseminated classified information of the highest level to family members who had no security clearance. And when Bolton's email was hacked by Iran, he allegedly omitted that he had been using the email account to share such information. If DOJ can prove this, this is big, big trouble for John Bolton, said CNN's legal expert. Honig? But they want to make this, it's kind of funny because CNN has the take on it, why the Bolton indictment is different from the Comey and James cases. Well, the difference is they don't like John Bolton. John Bolton thought that he was liked by the media because he was bad-mouthing Trump after being in the Trump administration. They never liked him. They never liked John Bolton. So they're trying to make a case, or trying to differentiate and saying, well, no, Comey and Letitia James, that's just political retribution. That's lawfare. But Bolton, it's okay. By the way, speaking of Letitia James, do we have time? Yeah, we'll read what Letitia James, what's going on there when we come back. And in the next hour, we're going to focus on the mayoral debate. I would love to hear what you thought on that debate. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
I'm Marianne Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me, to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
That unreal itch. When moderate to severe eczema is uncontrolled despite treatment, get itch relief fast and skin clearance that lasts with Nemluvio blocks the signaling from IL-31, a switch that triggers key symptoms of eczema. Do not take if allergic to Nemluvio. Serious reactions may occur, some severe. Tell your doctor about any medicines you take if you experience hives or plan to receive a live vaccine. The most common side effects are headache, joint pain, hives, and muscle aches. Ask about Nemluvio today.
Lease a brand new 2025 Subaru Impreza Base all-wheel drive featuring alloy wheels and remote start for only $209 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Hard to believe hour number 1 is nearly through. Let's go to a couple viewer comments. Regarding the Virginia Attorney General debate, one of them wants to follow New York State into all-electric abyss. What a clown. Thank you very much. And how about this? Yes, this viewer writes in, absolutely brutal for Kathy Hochul with that debate last night, because they were asked all three, Zohran Mamdani, Andrew Cuomo, Curtis Sliwa, they're all asked who supports Kathy Hochul for re-election. No one raises their hand. The communist versus social struggle is real in New York Democrats. You've heard me say that Kathy Hochul's Johnny Tryhard, or it just doesn't have to that level. There's a reason why she was always supposed to be lieutenant governor, never actually be governor. She's not ready for prime time, whatever cliche term you want to throw around. It proves it. She comes out and endorses Mamdani. Took a chance, but again, she doesn't want to be primaried by a far leftist. But anyway, she takes a chance, endorses him. He comes out after and says, well, I'm not ready to endorse her. I'm focused on this November. Then she doubles down and campaigns with him. And now, and I'm going to have the specifics of that a little bit later on in the next hour, but now he still doesn't back her. Wow. That's Governor Hochul, who always thinks she is better than she is. She always thinks she is more politically brilliant than she is. Last thing in this hour, and then the debate in the next hour, and we're going to hear from Climate Fact Friday Bob. New York Attorney General Letitia James is housing a second criminal family member at her properties in Virginia. We had the first one for you yesterday. The New York Post can reveal she and her big sister were partners in crime. James' grandniece, Kayla Thompson Hairston, 21, who is an OnlyFans star with a public X-rated social media presence, was charged in April of 2024 with lying about her felony criminal record when she tried to buy a gun in Virginia. Kayla was legally disqualified from owning a firearm due to an August 2020 felony charge of malicious wounding, which Virginia law defines as a crime in which a person shoots, stabs, cuts, or wounds any other person or by any means causes bodily injury with the intent to maim, disfigure, disable, or kill. Thompson Hairston was a juvenile at the time, and the records of the case are sealed. The weapons charges were later dropped because they learned Kayla's malicious wounding charge was pleaded down to a misdemeanor. In 2019, when Kayla was just 15 years old, she was also caught up in criminal hijinks of her big sister, who we mentioned yesterday, Nakia Thompson, who is a wanted fugitive by North Carolina authorities with a slew of arrests, according to documents. Kayla's social media profile includes photos of her flashing cash as well. She recently announced, just as a side note, that she was pregnant. Both family members, Kayla Thompson Hairston and Nakia Thompson, live in houses owned by Letitia James that have been at the center of federal criminal scrutiny over mortgage documents that James signed. James is currently facing 60 years in prison for bank fraud and false statement charges after federal prosecutors accused her of lying on the mortgage applications for the house where Thompson lives. And keep in mind, because of a provision included in the New York State budget this year, Letitia James fighting this in court, even though it will expose what looks like some maybe skeletons in the closet of her family. But we, the taxpayers, will be paying for that with a slush fund. So we will be paying for her defense. Keep that in mind. All right, in the next hour, we're going to talk about the mayoral debate coming out of New York City. Your thoughts on that? We have other topics to get to as well. Some New York State issues, other than the mayor's race, if we have a chance to get to it. Again, the No Kings rally being held in Corning and Elmira this weekend. Elmira at 317 East Church Street from 9 a.m. to 11. And then you can bop over to the Corning rally from noon to 1 in Centerway Square. Stay with us. We'll be right back with hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
This is Jim. Famous Brands. We are ready for fall and loaded with all of your favorite brands. Great new deals are arriving every week. We have the largest selection of clothing and footwear in the Finger Lakes, all at below retail prices. Famous Brands, downtown Watkins Glen, where you're always looking good for less.
Lease a brand new 2026 Nissan Rogue SV all-wheel drive featuring heated seats and heated steering wheel for only $359 a month for 36 months. Make carbine simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Nissan in Horseheads and Hornell.
When you're running, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Check out our newsreels and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/.
And welcome to our number 2 of this Friday morning edition of Frankly Speaking. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live and proudly from the Hesselson's studio here on Marcus Street in Corning in the heart of the Gaffer District. A lot of comments coming in, a lot of great discussions we're going to read here in just a moment. Climate Fact Friday with Bob. We always appreciate when he sends in his weekly fact. Let's get right to it, as a matter of fact. Let's start with that, and then we'll read some other comments, because we got quite a bit here about the New York City mayoral race. Your thoughts on that? I'd love to hear your takeaways. I have CNN's takeaways, but I'd love to hear yours. All right. Good morning, all, from Climate Fact Friday, Bob. A new study has shown why we have this mysterious warming hole in the U.S. It seems that only in some parts of the country we have some modest warming. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, America was growing at an astonishing rate. It used a lot of the natural softwoods, pines, and hemlock to build our cities. Clear cutting of millions of acres of forest was not uncommon. I've seen pictures of the Corning area where there were no trees on most hillsides. This is why we have such fantastic hardwood forests today. The oak, hickory, and maple trees took over the bare hillsides. Now that we are managing our hardwoods, we have created a lot of greening. This helps cool the planet. The forests are like giant air conditioners. The trees cool mostly through shade. Evapotranspiration also has a cooling effect. Some of the climate scientists can't figure out why some areas average as much as 9 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than the rest of the country. We have added 70 million more acres of forest in the past century. The climate alarmists focus on cities and the false temperatures from those heat islands. Yes, heat island effect has been talked about. I remember doing a report on that back in high school. The heat island with ever-growing concrete, buildings, and blacktop. In some other countries, they're including temperature readings from weather stations that do not even exist anymore. Yes, do you remember when that one university destroyed original climate data? It was a major scandal at the time. This would have been probably over 10 years ago, destroying all that original data because they had a conclusion they wanted to reach, so they had to get there with the information that they had. So you're exactly right. Climate Fact Friday Bob continues. In my opinion, the Earth is cooling. Thanks, everyone. Please have a great weekend and be safe. Thank you, Bob. We appreciate that. That was a good one this morning. It's always a good one, but I appreciate that. I wanted to mention this just as a big kudos before we read the other comments. This came up earlier in the week, but as the weekend nears, I want to thank, just like this viewer wanted to thank, the Corning Moose Lodge and all their wonderful members, along with our good friend Billy Spalding from Corning Catering, because this Sunday, the Moose Lodge members will be providing and serving the food for the Salvation Army's Shepherd's Table, along with our friends from Corning Catering. Just another example of the Moose Lodges giving back through our heart of the community effort. So that was earlier in the week, but I wanted to thank them again, the Corning Moose Lodge, who does so much amazing work in our community, an inspiration when you talk about the community that we talk about so often on this program, getting involved, getting active, and doing what's best for your community. And Corning Catering could not do more for our community either. So what a great group. That's going to be a very special Salvation Army Shepherd's Table, and I made sure to mention it at our board meeting, how special each group is. Okay, comment from different viewers. Just a thought. I wonder what King Charles would think of the No Kings rabble-rousers. That's a good thought. Mark writes in, I just watched some of the debate. Mamadani ripped into Cuomo about putting COVID people in nursing homes. Yes, I mean, that's low-hanging fruit, right? I mean, you have to go after that. Because Mamadani, in some articles that I've read, believe that Mamadani did enough to get through. Not that he did great, but that Cuomo probably didn't chip away that much at his double-digit lead. Your thoughts on that? Ken writes in his takes, which are the best takes, when he sits down and watches whether it's the DNC or last night's debate. He says, as I'm sure you know, the mayoral debate was very uncontrolled and I'm going to start over. Frank, as I am sure you know, the mayoral debate was very uncontrolled and poorly moderated. Can we get some type of consensus? I don't want to go keep going through everything. I want to read all of Ken's comment. But why is it that debates are so poorly done at every level? Did it always seem that way? Now, I know with Trump, it's a little bit different because you've got the Trump factor. And you've got, when you've got Trump, you have the other candidates trying to kind of out-Trump Trump, and except for Biden. That's a whole different study case. But it's with it seems like anymore, it's always annoying, it's uncontrolled. But thank you. We'll continue with what Ken had to say. It was clear to me that the panel was on Mamadani's side. He was allowed to talk longer and to talk many times without being called on. When Cuomo or Sliwa talked, they tried to silence them more quickly. Mamadani still refuses to denounce Hamas. That was the big takeaway. Sliwa didn't get recognized as much as the other two. If I had to vote for one of the three, it would be Sliwa. Cuomo talks like a Democrat politician, and Mamadani talks like a socialist politician. I will admit that I am tainted in my view, but I think both men are liars. Sliwa is unpolished and will have trouble managing a city the size of New York City, but I think he tells the truth and has common sense. Yes, he brings that New York bravado, too. I read somewhere it was the way that they worded it, and I thought that was a good way to word it. But he's not going to do any worse managing New York City than, as was highlighted in the debate last night, Mamadani, who has never held a real job. So I'm not criticizing what you're saying, Ken, but you're right. I mean, I would trust Sliwa before I would trust someone who's never held a real job. Continuing, Ken writes, Mamadani named Bernie Sanders as the greatest politician, living or dead. He still wouldn't endorse Hochul. Oh, you can't feel bad for Hochul. She steps in it. She is like on the old Three Stooges, walking right into the pie. I mean, it is embarrassing. She must have no shame. But anyway, there is no way that enough money can be raised to implement all the free stuff he wants to buy voters with. He wouldn't commit to marching in all parades, probably because he certainly wouldn't march at any Christian or Jewish-oriented parades or like a Columbus Day parade or something like that. I would add to that. You're exactly right, Ken. Ken, thank you for your takeaways. We always do appreciate it. The takeaways that CNN had, so take it with a grain of salt. They said that Cuomo says if Mamadani wins, New York City's leaders would be Mayor Donald Trump. And this has been one of, he thinks, a winning message, that the idea is if Mamadani wins, that Trump's not going to work with him, that there'll be cutback in funding and these type of things. Basically, he'll also take over the streets with the National Guard, these type of things. So Cuomo's line is, if the assemblyman is elected, Mayor Donald Trump will take over in New York City and it will be Mayor Trump. Mamadani responded by accusing Cuomo of being a coward. He noted that Cuomo failed to mention Trump in a statement he issued condemning the Department of Justice's indictment of Letitia James. Mamadani, Cuomo, and Sliwa were all asked the last time they spoke with Trump. Cuomo said he spoke with the president after an assassination attempt last year and again denied a New York Times report that the two had recently spoken about the mayoral race. Sliwa said he hadn't spoken with Trump in years, saying he had last spoken with Trump years ago about the Veterans Day parade. When asked if he had ever spoken with Trump, Mamadani answered with a curt no. Israel and Gaza became a major focus. We're going to talk about that. I'm not going to give you CNN's spin on it. But Mamdani did speak of the conversations he's had with the Jewish New Yorkers since becoming the Democratic nominee that have opened his eyes to the existence of anti-Semitism in ways he said he hadn't fully realized existed. And now the phrase, globalize the intifada, could be hurtful. He had no idea. He wouldn't say whether he believed Israel has a right to exist as a Jewish state, saying only that he does not support any country that exists with racial or religious hierarchies. All right. Also, according to CNN, the forgotten Republican tries to make a mark. Well, that's so disingenuous because we know that he is quote unquote forgotten because the media will not cover him. They're hardly covering Cuomo. To Ken's point, they are fawning over Zohran Mamdani because let's face it, in journalism, they're very much going to support socialism. They're going to support the far left. They've been doing it historically for decades, but most recently at a fast pace. So it comes as no surprise. But what CNN writes is free. Well, hold on. The Republican nominee came out swinging. Free of his signature red beret, Sliwa leaned into the center stage spot given to him to go after both of his opponents. He sought to separate himself from the political establishment, at one point countering a question about his lack of political experience by saying, "Thank God I am not a politician." He focused many of his attacks on Cuomo, questioning his toughness, and at one point invoking his father with a particularly sharp zinger. Sliwa alleged that the state parole board, when Cuomo was governor, released people accused of killing police officers. Quote, "Your father, when he was governor, released none. I knew Mario Cuomo. You're no Mario Cuomo." Saying that old line. Sliwa is hoping to appeal. That line comes up a lot, though, in debates. But anyway, Sliwa is hoping to appeal not just to Republicans, but also moderate Democrats unwilling to support Cuomo or Mamdani. He has repeatedly refused to leave the race. We know that. Sliwa called Mamdani's ideas fantasies. Mamdani generally ignored Sliwa, other than repeatedly correcting the Republicans' mispronunciation of his name. Mamdani did snap at Sliwa when the Republican told him that the Jews don't trust that you are going to be there for them when they're subject to anti-Semitic attacks. That's when Mamdani said, "I will be a mayor who finally addresses that, not just the theatrics on this stage." Mamdani again apologizes for ripping the police as racist. Tweets where he called police officers racist and wicked. He has a long history of being critical of law enforcement, calling for defunding the police. Now, he also met with police officers and won a notable endorsement from a former high-ranking New York Police Department official. You can always find one, right? They always talk about bad apples. You can always find one. He reiterated his apology Thursday. Why, did he ever really apologize? He had said that he was apologizing behind closed doors. But that's one of CNN's takeaway. And finally, a brewing fight over taxes on millionaires and a notable non-endorsement, the non-endorsement of Hochul. Now, what that signals, though, too, there's more to that. Not just the embarrassment, the outright embarrassment that Hochul should experience after endorsing Mamdani. Then he wouldn't endorse her. And then her campaigning with him, and again, he will not endorse her. The whole reason she originally endorsed is so she wouldn't have a far-left primary. I think with his constant signaling that he does not full-throatedly endorse her, I think she could be looking at it would have to happen pretty soon. But heck, we don't even have a Republican that's announced. But what I'm saying is the far left, I think there could be a primary challenge. Mamdani declined to endorse Hochul for re-election, saying he was focused on winning the mayoral race, even as Hochul became one of the first major New York Democrats to endorse him. This was his answer. "I'm focusing on November, and I appreciate her support, and I appreciate her work." How embarrassing. I mean, would you show your face if you're Governor Hochul after that? That's twice now. But what I think that signals is there could be a far-left primary challenge to Governor Hochul. Now, I'm running late. My goodness. More on the debate when we return. A couple other things hopefully we get an opportunity to bring up in today's broadcast, but we'll see. We still got plenty of time. We're just getting warmed up in hour number 2. Keep those comments, keep those waves coming in, and we will be right back after this.
Want to read about ancient wonders? Go to your local library today. But this isn't your father's library. It's the home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer or face off a dragon in the D&D Club. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine rentals. Create with the 3D printer or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
This is a collector consumer alert. Hi, my name is Jared Johnson with SueTheCollector.com. Did you know that repossessions are on the rise in America? If your car, truck, or motorcycle has been repossessed by an agent that broke a lock, assaulted you, or trespassed on your private property, you have rights. Call us for a free case review at 1-877-BAD-REPO. You pay nothing unless we win money for you. Call me now.
Did you know that children growing up with poor air quality have smaller lungs and higher rates of asthma than children that grow up with good air quality? And unfortunately, poor communities have poor air quality. IQ Air Foundation is working to change this. Today, the IQ Air Foundation provides filtration technology to schools with poor air quality through our Clean Air for Kids program. Our goal is to help over 50,000 school children every year breathe over 90% cleaner air indoors, helping to level the playing field, reduce barriers to learning, reduce sick days, and increase test scores. Mitigating poor air quality is key to environmental justice. Help Clean Air for Kids reach more children at IQAirFoundation.org.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Now, Zohran Mamdani can't explain, to Ken's point, how he will fund $10 billion in freebies. $10 billion in freebies for his socialist agenda. Now, Kathy Hochul has insisted she will not raise taxes. Mamdani dodging the question, saying, look, a lot of people have called even my campaign a non-starter when we first began. And now I stand before you proud to be the Democrat nominee who got the most votes in city primary history. Pressed again, the far-left candidate provided scant details on how he'd raise the money, which amounts to nearly 10% of the current city budget. We have also put forward a plan to save money here in New York City, was his talking point. Wow. Now, pillars of his campaign promises have been to raise taxes on people making more than $1 million and corporate taxes. Boy, that'll be good for New York City, won't it? As people are leaving in droves, as we learn about Texas really becoming the new Wall Street in many ways, or the financial hub. Hochul has repeatedly said that she has no intention of raising taxes as she is heading into her own election cycle next year, where she is expected to face a bruising challenge from Elise Stefanik. Again, Elise has not declared. Mamdani has also faced heat from Cuomo over another one of his hallmark campaign proposals, freezing rent on about 960,000 rent-stabilized apartments in the city. Now, Mamdani also flipped on his key Hamas position one day after refusing to call to disarm him. In that interview with Fox, he would not say that Hamas should disarm. So, realizing that the pushback on that was major, he said during the debate last night, of course I believe that they should lay down their arms. He said Mamdani was responding to a question from a moderator who said his previous answer, made to Fox News, was confusing after he dodged questions when she asked if he believes Hamas should lay down weapons and leave leadership in Gaza. Quote, I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety, he said during that interview. On the debate stage, however, he said, I'm proud to be one of the first elected officials in the state who called for a ceasefire, and calling for a ceasefire means ceasefire. That means all parties have to cease fire and put down their weapons. And the reason that we call for that is not only for the end of the genocide, but also an unimpeded access to humanitarian aid. And I, like many New Yorkers, am hopeful that this ceasefire will hold. He said he hopes President Trump's negotiated ceasefire is durable and just. Now, social media accounts label his comments as a, quote, new answer. Republican Curtis Sliwa, the only candidate to mention Trump by name in his response to the news of the Israeli hostages being released, took issue with that stance, saying the President of the United States should have been applauded by you, Zohran Mamdani, and you, Andrew Cuomo. Mamdani has been widely criticized in recent months for his position on Israel. So he learned that he should no longer support the globalize the intifada chant. He might be losing his endorsement by the Democrat Socialists of America. Cuomo said in the debate, the assemblyman will not denounce Hamas. The assemblyman will not denounce Hanser Piker, who said America deserves 9/11. This is Cuomo. The assemblyman just said in his response, well, it depends on occupation, referring to the ceasefire deal. Cuomo did good on this. That is cold, meaning that Israel does not have a right to exist as a Jewish state, which he has never acknowledged. That is, from the river to the sea. That's why he won't denounce globalize the intifada, which means to kill all Jews. He had a good line on that, Cuomo, a good line of going back and forth. Even the New York Times says that Mamdani faces attacks after comments about Hamas. I would argue that is, for most people, the biggest takeaway of the night last night, if you watched it. A spokesman for Mamdani said, we should call these comments out for what they are. Lazy Islamophobic attacks on the Democrat nominee poised to become our city's first Muslim mayor. And that has been a common trend. If you haven't seen this, now there can be no criticism of his stance on Israel and Hamas because he is Muslim. So when Elise Stefanik calls him out for what he's been saying about Israel, Hochul has tried to jump on it, and others saying, well, this is threatening language. This is the heated rhetoric that you should not be mentioning because he is Muslim. What does it have to do with that at all? This is a real serious question that he has not been able to answer. So all they have, and this is a criticism that they have, Elise Stefanik called Mr. Mamdani a jihadist. Representative Laura Gillen, a Democrat from Long Island who has opposed Mamdani's candidacy, said he was pro-Hamas and unfit to hold any office in the United States. Well, let's face it. If he's not going to tell Hamas to lay down their arms and that they should get out of Gaza and actually promote the ceasefire, what other ways can you describe him? But again, his allies are trying to suggest it's xenophobic and dangerous. Leave it to New York Times to present it that way. He also, Andrew Cuomo, I know I got to take another break, laid into Zohran Mamdani during New York City's mayoral debate for calling the NYPD racist. Cuomo said, respect the police. They're not racist. As the assemblyman calls them, they're not a threat to public safety. They are here to protect New Yorkers. Well, Mamdani saying, I've been clear time and time again that as much as Andrew Cuomo wants to bring up tweets from 2020, which is around the same time he was sending seniors to their deaths in nursing homes, I'm looking to work with police officers, not to defund the NYPD. Not a bad line from Mamdani, if I'm being honest. So I don't think 2020, 5 years ago is, you feel bad for these people that say something 20 years ago or 15, 20 years ago when they were teenagers. It's a little different when you're 5 years ago calling the police racist, threats, those type of things. Only 5 years ago, Mr. Mamdani. He was also slammed over his lack of experience during the mayoral debate. He has literally never had a job. The first 30 minutes was kind of bitter back and forth. Cuomo saying if the assemblyman is elected mayor, Donald Trump will take over the city. We mentioned that line earlier on. He has literally never had a job. God forbid a 9/11, a health pandemic, should happen while he's in office. If you don't know what you're doing, people literally will die. Now, I will say that line probably shouldn't have come from Cuomo, because then apparently he definitely didn't know what he was doing as governor, as he saw so many seniors die because of his nursing home edict. But I'll continue with what Cuomo had to say. This is not a job for a first-timer. And Mamdani said, and if we have a health pandemic, then why would New Yorkers turn back to the governor who sent seniors to their death in nursing homes? I've got to say, the one silver lining in all of this is that is being called out on Cuomo, because that can never be forgotten. You don't always get to pick the messenger. But the fact that he's bringing that up, because when they talk in the media about Cuomo's scandals, that very rarely comes up. That is something that they want to overlook because of the countless deaths of our seniors in nursing homes because of his edict. So I guess, again, you can't always like the messenger, but it's a message that had to get out there. But again, imagine being Governor Hochul. She always seems like she's never invited to the dance. Like, she's always got that knocked down a peg look. Whether it's she gets a chance to speak at the DNC, not during prime time, but get a chance, and then she bungles that, screws that up. Whether it's the statements she made supporting Biden wholeheartedly and had to backtrack on that. Then she endorses. I mean, we're just going through some quick things off the top of my head. I'm sure you can name 1,000 of them. But then you have, and I think this is, when Nancy Pelosi and others basically said she's no good for their party, that she's not a kind of a power maker, a kingmaker in the party. And then she comes out and endorses Mamdani. He won't endorse her. She goes back out and campaigns with him to endorse him even more. And in front of everyone watching that debate, again, would not endorse Hochul. Also, isn't it interesting, though, that when asked who was the best politician, I guess, or I don't know how they exactly worded it, but during the debate, Curtis Sliwa, for his part, proudly threw his support behind Elise Stefanik when asked about the Hochul endorsement, because you knew Sliwa wasn't going to endorse Hochul, but he backed Elise Stefanik. And he repeatedly praised three-term Republican Governor George Pataki, too, the man who unseated Mario Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo's father. The elder Cuomo is naturally the politician whom the younger Cuomo said he admired the most. After all, he named a bridge after him. Mamdani picked fellow Democrat socialist Senator Bernie Sanders. But now we learn Mamdani likes Hochul, but not enough to endorse her yet. He's kind of sort of almost with Hochul. No. I think he sees the writing on the wall that there could be a far left candidate that challenges her, and he doesn't want to endorse her this early on because he'll have to endorse the far left candidate. All right, we got to take another short break. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. We've got other things to get to as well, but this is a major issue that will, whether you like it or not, affect us here in upstate New York. Stay with us.
Motorcycle riding season is in full swing, and there are more motorcycles on the road than ever before. Crashes involving motorcycles are often the result of a motorist failing to yield a right-of-way, or caused by a motorist who is distracted. And motorcycle riders are vulnerable and more exposed. So for them, crashes can result in serious injury or even death. Drivers and riders, we're all in this together. Please, be smart and pay attention to your driving. Share the road and watch for motorcycles.
Will Tar has earned a reputation for being a straight shooter.
Because I am a straight shooter.
For being honest.
Here's what we're willing to pay.
Because I am honest.
For winning a lot.
Because we win a lot.
If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident, it matters who you hire. It matters in the experience as well as the results. Call William Mattar. Visit WilliamMattar.com.
Lease a brand new 2025 Subaru Impreza Base all-wheel drive featuring alloy wheels and remote start for only $209 a month for 36 months. Make car buying simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Subaru in Big Flats.
It's a season of Sherry.
Having a good time has always been my #1 goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Let's go to some viewer comments. In addition to what Bob said, I saw that the scapegoat carbon footprint is the same today as it was 100 years ago, in spite of the fact that the population of the world has increased by over 1 billion people. Thank you for that. Karen writes in, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Karen. And again, thank you for the quote this week. Just placed a bid on Johnny's curtains. Oh, by the way, can I borrow $5,000? No. I think the starting was $5,000, so I think it'll get higher than that if you weren't watching the 6 o'clock hour. I just put out the hint that if anybody wants to help me update the background here on Frankly Speaking, the final curtain for Johnny Carson's late night show was up for sale. And like I said, I think I should have looked up to give you an update of what it's up to now. But the curtain from the Tonight Show. Did I say the late night show? I'm sorry. The Tonight Show. I got distracted on how much it was up to, but I can't find it. All right. Well, thank you, Karen. I'm sorry I don't have $5,000 for you to borrow. I should have $200 in the mail soon, though, from Governor Hochul. If we all want to go in, $200 at a time. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. Comment from Mark. He says, Mamadani changes his words too much to tell people what they want to hear. Whatever works at the time. Not a good campaign, in my opinion. Yeah, some have compared it to kind of a word salad, too, at times. But, yeah, they say he has a charisma, which I personally am not seeing in these things. But I guess he's young, he's different. And let's face it, at a time when there is criticism, specifically from Democrats, but also some on the right, of the age of some of our politicians. I know, and our thoughts and prayers go out to Mitch McConnell, but he fell yesterday in a video, or 2 days. I saw the video yesterday. You know, you've got some of the Nancy Pelosi's, Chuck Schumer's, and I think that there's, especially the younger voter, is looking for someone a little bit younger. And I think that's a lot of his appeal. Ken writes in, Mamadani wants to raise taxes on what he claims will only be the top 1% in New York by 2%. Hochul is campaigning on not raising taxes. For Mamadani to have any chance on succeeding with his giveaways, he needs a governor that is willing to raise taxes and send the bulk of the money to New York City. That could only come from the desk of a very far-left governor, which won't be Hochul and her current handlers. He will be endorsing someone of his own ilk. I couldn't agree more, Ken. That's why he's not endorsing Hochul. Because to get his policies, he's going to need a far-left governor. I agree with you 100% on that. But at the very least, he can't be seen endorsing Hochul and then come out in a month or two when a far-left person, like a Cynthia Nixon, if you recall, someone like that, runs. He'll have to endorse the Democrat Socialist. I'm not surprised he didn't endorse. It's more speaks volumes to Governor Hochul's lack of, political knowledge, she's always 2 steps behind. She's never 1 step ahead, ever. And I would argue 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. But whether it's one of her statements that she makes, it's been made by a Democrat 2 weeks ago, and it was said so much that it always got old. It's like she discovers it for the first time and brings it up 3 weeks after. She's like the mother or father who tries to tell their kids or tries to start using slang that their junior high student is using, but the slang is from last year, from 2 years ago, slang maybe they used in school. That's what it feels like when Governor Hochul talks, and that's what it feels like when she does something that she thinks is going to make her, quote-unquote, more powerful, or more like a Governor Cuomo when he was at his peak. And she falls flat every time. So Zohran Mamdani did dodge the attacks and dodged straight answers. And he can't say how he'll pay for his socialist proposals in that debate. It was a rat-a-tat verbal brawl between the 3 contenders, including a zinger lobbying Curtis Sliwa. Interesting. Sliwa did a good job, but they're just not giving him any coverage. It's going to be tough. We've went through all these quotes. But to read what some of the opinion makers or opinion people have to say, I'm not saying makers, but Nick Reisman at Politico says that Zohran Mamdani did not make any major or minor mistakes. He was calm, smiled, and made his point over attacks from rivals Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa. He did have some good line of attacks on Cuomo. I will admit that, the nursing home comment. But this idea, listen, I don't know if people are falling into this trap to think we're always going to have a Biden-Trump debate where it's going to be so disastrous for one candidate that it ends a campaign. I don't think anybody thought that. But I don't think there weren't some minor slip-ups. I think you could say major slip-ups. But even if you're going in with a little bit of a mindset of wanting Mamdani to win, like Politico probably is, can't say it was a perfect performance. Mamdani dominated most of the 2-hour debate against his more experienced opponents. His performance was miles better than what he turned in earlier this year during the primary campaign, where he often appeared less confident or even flustered, said Nick Reisman. This evening, it was Cuomo who appeared clinical and bloodless at times, presenting a reaction of facts that might work at law school symposiums, but not in a rapid-fire TV exchange. Long-shot Republican Sliwa brought bravado to the forum, yet he at times came across as too mayoral and a bit stayed, even if social media fell in love with his thick New York accent. Well, bravado, I don't know, too mayoral? Cuomo needed a major moment this evening to trip up Mamdani in order to evaporate Mamdani's double-digit polling lead. The former governor simply did not get that. Mamdani also sought to moderate many of his hard-left views, insisting he would not defund the police department. Cuomo won some points on his staunch Israel support and experience, but that's not what will likely decide this election in the coming weeks. Voters remain deeply concerned about the cost of living in expensive New York, and Mamdani has harnessed this issue of the political age. He stayed on message throughout the debate, even at the end, by declaring he's more concerned about affordability than in weighing in on Christopher Columbus statues. Hammering those affordability points, wow. So affordability, and I shouldn't say wow, of course people are duped by this. What this is saying is they want to make New York affordable by freebies and giveaways at the taxpayer expense. So of course, not freebies. But according to Politico, in this opinion piece by Mr. Nick Reisman, by saying basically, here's all the free stuff I'm going to give away that I can't tell you how I'm going to pay for, that means you're addressing the affordability crisis. Wow. Okay. This is why the Democrat Party is being taken over by the socialists. Because of his ability to stay on message, remain calm, and make clear cost of living points, Zohran Mamdani won the debate. He's the front runner. Meanwhile, no one told Andrew Cuomo he isn't leading the pack. That makes him the has-been. And Curtis Sliwa, who tried his best but never caught fire, is the never was. All brilliant commentary from Politico. John Podoretz says Zohran Mamdani suffered an awful showing, but Cuomo still can't bury him. We're going to tell you a little bit more about that. Keep those comments, keep those waves coming in. We're having a blast this morning, at least I am. We'll try to take a look and see what the Johnny Carson curtain is up to during breaks. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
This isn't Children's Library. Create with the 3D printer. Release your inner audio engineer or sewing machine rentals, all with your library card. Go to getyourlibrarycard.com today.
Having a safe home is essential to many aspects of our lives. From a sense of community and safety, to physical and mental health, to economic security and independence. Most homes in our communities are not accessible and are not designed to accommodate the changes that come with age, including the risk of falling. The Older Adults Home Modification Program helps reduce the risk of falls, improves safety, and increases accessibility and independence. Through this program, Rebuilding Together works with older adults to provide no-cost preventative home repairs, so our neighbors can safely age in place in the homes and communities they love. To learn more, visit rebuildingtogether.org/safeathome.
It's the best 2 hours of NFL coverage, starting with Fox NFL Kickoff at 11.
This is great TV.
It is caught! Then at noon, take it to the next level on Fox NFL Sunday.
This kid has it all.
Touchdown! America's #1 pregame show. The best NFL pregame shows are back-to-back.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam. Brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. And the curtains, the Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, final broadcast stage curtains. As of right now, with just 7 days left, the current bid is $5,500. Now, with the buyer's premium, that will put you at $6,875. Again, just if you're thinking about getting me a gift for the set here. All right, let's go to viewer comments. Here's a good point. Well, no, we're going to go through, we're going to read Rick's first because Rick's came in first. Let's see what he has to say. Rick writes in, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Rick. Well, here we go again. Bolton this time. Old Trump is really setting himself up for when his term is up. Isn't Trump the one that flew a cargo plane full of classified documents to Mar-a-Lago? Just step back. Two things on that, Rick. We learned this morning that, first of all, this investigation started under the Biden administration. And second, just for your talking points, CNN is actually not comparing Bolton to Letitia James or to James Comey. They're saying this one's different. I tend to believe they think it's different because they don't like Bolton because he's still a Republican, and that, yes, he did badmouth Trump after because he thought he was smarter than Trump, but that only gets you so far in the media because they'll turn on you. So CNN made it very clear that they're not the same in this supposed lawfare and these type of things. Just so you know, just for your information. Continuing with what Rick had to say, nice work in Chicago by the National Guard and ICE. I think they need to send some more regular people in there to control the National Guard and ICE. They're out of control, like their fearless leader is, creating a war zone out there. Speaking of fearless, looks like Trump has a little fear in him for Putin. Guess that's no secret. Yep, let's meet again with Vlad. Old Putin plays Trump like a fiddle. What a coward. No good bombs for you, Ukraine. If anybody deserves the best weaponry, we have to offer it. It's Ukraine. Never happened, though. Hey, everyone have a sweet weekend. I've got to keep a decoder ring. I can't keep up with whether Trump worships Putin, is fearful of Putin, hates Putin. I don't know. The narrative changes every day. Comment from a different viewer. I'll be so happy when the New York City mayor race is over because too much time is wasted on this socialist. Want local and national subjects back. I understand, but don't think for a moment this isn't local in a way. When you're talking about the $10 billion in freebies that he wants to give away, who pays for that if Governor Hochul decides to give in? It's you, it's me, it's everybody watching. I understand it does get a little old. But also think of the implications, number one, for the gubernatorial race, but also for the national races. If a socialist wins, we're going to be talking about socialist candidates a lot more. We're probably going to talk about one running against Hochul, is what it's starting to seem more and more like. Also, think about what this means at the gubernatorial race when it comes to Elise Stefanik. Because the same people voting for a socialist in New York City have the same right to vote for governor. So you've got to keep this all in mind. And when you have town halls with AOC and Bernie Sanders, and you see the rising stars, and even I think Speaker Johnson put it perfectly, that they are the real leaders of the Democrat Party, AOC and Bernie Sanders. I know it gets a little tedious, but the bigger picture here, you can't ignore the kind of annoyance of it right now and not look at the bigger picture. So I appreciate what you're saying, but it is important to pay attention to it. So John Padoret says, Mamadani has vile views and worse politics. His campaign has been a logistical triumph, and his Democrat debate performance in May was startlingly impressive. There was every reason to expect his debate showdown last night with Cuomo and Sliwa would be another feather in his cap. But it wasn't. Mamadani flopped. His answers were defensive. He seemed angry at being questioned at all. He seemed offensive to him that he would have to offer an explanation for having called for defunding the police and refusing to accept the existence of Israel as a Jewish state. He claimed he never said things he had said, or that he shouldn't be accountable for words he wrote only 5 years ago. He did not seem like a young and happy warrior, more like a petulant graduate student. But if Mamdani did badly, Cuomo did worse. And an enjoyable Curtis Sliwa buried Cuomo even deeper. On May 15th, 2022, the Pittsburgh Pirates were no hit by the Cincinnati Reds and still won the game because of 3 straight walks in a fielder's choice. That's kind of what happened in the debate. Mamdani got no hits, but Cuomo gave up 3 walks. Sliwa made a fielder's choice, and Mamdani's march to the victory in the mayor's race was not halted. For a man who's run in multiple elections over the past 25 years, Cuomo was shockingly inarticulate and unable to sustain a single argument or a single answer. There were moments where Cuomo sounded more like Luca Brasi stumbling through his thanks to Don Corleone at the wedding. Why do they always go through stories like that? I love The Godfather. It's tedious sometimes. But I will say, Cuomo had a history. I know he's been in politics for 25 years, whatever they said there, but he was very good at controlling the debates. We mentioned it yesterday when he would always make sure that every candidate was on stage with him. So it's not as if he had honed in that craft. I don't want to go through all the Cuomo gotcha moments on either side. We've already been through that. The only real life in the debate came from Curtis Sliwa, the populist New York crime-fighting hero, who was so spirited and lively, it was like he was bringing CBGBs back. He was also easily the most substantive of the 3 candidates. He aimed his fire at both his rivals on the ludicrous financial fantasies of Mamdani's expensive and unworkable proposals and Cuomo's policies failing in soft-on-crime legislation into law as governor, or signing, I should say. So Sliwa was the only one of the 3 to talk coherently about the crisis in the city's schools and how they are being run, not for the benefit of kids, but bureaucrats. He kept bringing up public safety, which Mamdani kept deliberately seeking to confuse with his affordability mantra. That said, Sliwa maybe should have had 1 fewer cups of coffee. So hepped up was he and so intent on making sure he was not ignored, he may have done himself a little bit of good with voters, but he still is going to come in third, and it's still the case that every vote he gets will be a vote Cuomo doesn't get, thereby effectively serving as a firewall for Mamdani's chances. Bottom line, Mamdani didn't do himself any favors, but Cuomo did him a favor by being so lousy, and Sliwa did him a favor by making Cuomo look even more lame. But to David Marcus's point, it's not Curtis Sliwa's job to save the Democrat Party from himself, because the conventional wisdom is he drops out, Cuomo has a better chance to beat Mamdani. 2 things are clear. First, allowing the Marxist Mamdani to rule New York City is a terrifying idea. What with his plans for homeless shelters on wheels, which he calls free busing, and social workers out on police calls. But second, this is a crisis completely created by the Democrat Party. It was Democrats who changed the voting rules in New York City to benefit the far left. It was Democrats who couldn't get former Governor Cuomo enough votes in the primary. And it's Democrats who are failing to call out the threat posed by socialism. So how is it possible that it falls on Curtis Sliwa to sacrifice his own ambitions and dignity to save Cuomo from losing, for the second time, to a 32-year-old commie who has never held a real job? If this is such an emergency, then Sliwa must fall on his sword and abandon his priorities. Then why haven't House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, both from New York, had the courage to endorse Cuomo? I thought this was a fantastic point by David Marcus. And by the way, since when is Andrew Cuomo a moderate? We don't have to go through his passing the raise the age, the bail reform, what happened during COVID. Come on. If Cuomo wants the 15% of the vote Sliwa commands, he'll have to earn it. So far, he hasn't. Cuomo could have chosen the path of lonely Pennsylvania Democrat Senator John Fetterman, who has called out the wacky excesses of the far left and his party, and even the decency to praise Trump's Middle East proposals. Maybe if John Fetterman was a moderate alternative to Cuomo, then it might make sense for Sliwa to debase himself by dropping out. Curtis Sliwa is the Republican nominee for mayor, and unless Cuomo makes some serious concessions to conservative New York voters fast, then those voters won't vote for him if Sliwa tells them to. Curtis Sliwa cannot and will not save the Democrat Party. Only Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and yes, Andrew Cuomo can. But so far, all three lack the courage to make the stand they demand of Curtis Sliwa. I thought that was a wonderful point. All right, let's take a break and wrap up today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Right? No. Oh my gosh, I have to take 2 breaks. Stay with us. We'll be right back after, where is it? After this.
When you're online, don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers. Vote on the daily question and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
To get clean! Yes, but that liquid detergent leaves you covered in harsh chemical residue. Not Earth Breeze. Just one sheet gives you a powerful clean.
Switch now at earthbreeze.com.
Experience very good deals this October only at Blaze Alexander Family Dealerships of Mansfield. 7 great brands at one convenient location. If a used vehicle is what you're looking for, we have 200 in stock and thousands more available at our fingertips, with prices as low as $6,500. And get up to 20% over KBB trade value on your trade-in today. Don't miss out on this year's Trunk or Treat, October 24th, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at all 3 of our Mansfield locations. So don't get haunted by high prices. Save some green off Route 15 in Mansfield while we're taking the deals the other guys won't.
Fox 10 p.m. News is the first primetime local news for the Twin Tiers. Our reporters, Haley and Dante, scour the southern tier to bring you up-to-date news regarding local businesses, economics, and how national decisions impact our area. If you're not near a TV, don't worry. You can also catch our 10 p.m. news live on WYDCTV.com/livestream. Don't miss Big Fox 10 p.m. news on WYDC, on TV, or our website.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back. Broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. But we got a lot of comments coming in. What's all this? Oh my goodness. Tell me more about this. I got a comment from a viewer. Meet the candidates. Caton Town Hall tonight at 6. Tell me more about that. Is this for Steuben County Legislature? I'm assuming, or is there other races as well? Who are the candidates? So that is tonight at the Caton Town Hall at 6 o'clock. Thank you for sending that in. I wish I had more time to promote it, but I'm glad I have an opportunity to do so now. Other comments. Not sure if you saw Hochul's latest statement in the last day or so about Zoran $10 billion worth of freebies. She said she wasn't worried about it and they would figure out a way to pay for it. And how does that work? She will tax the you-know-what out of the rest of New York to pay for it. Or close some more prisons or mental health facilities. The New York Democrats are famous for doing that. They sure are. Yeah, again, she's brushing everything off. And she does this as well, whereas we'll worry about it later. And that comes back to haunt us, just like the budget. We'll worry about Trump's cuts later. And here we are. Comment from a different viewer. I agree it's necessary, but needs to get only the coverage it deserves because other subjects are passed over. I agree with you. I hope I didn't word that in a way that made it sound differently. I agree. That's meaning in reference to how much the mayoral race is getting coverage. I agree. And especially in a true Trump news cycle, there is so much to talk about. And that's why we spent the first hour away from the debate. But I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. It's just I think about it, and I think you do too, about the implications statewide and nationwide. Ken writes in, Frank, I can't afford the Johnny Carson curtains, but if you can wait a while, I think I could pick up curtains from the Jimmy Kimmel Show at a very low price. Thank you, Ken. Yes, bargain. Well, maybe we'll see him over at Ollie's. Bargain prices. I appreciate that, Ken. Thank you. Let's take our last break. Wrap up. Get your last second comments in. We got great comments this morning. Thank you. Keep them coming in, and we'll read anything we get right here at the end, and then we'll wrap up. Stay with us.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
You can just keep watching and scrolling, and the world will still feel like it's falling apart.
Widespread missile attacks. Highest hospitalization. Evacuation in the Western forced labor.
Or you can take action by joining a movement that's creating real and lasting change instead. Partnering with communities around the globe to help uproot poverty and plant seeds of hope for a brighter tomorrow. Because at World Vision, we believe that no situation is hopeless. Join a movement that's changing the world for good.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. We're going to run through some topics very quickly. But first, thank you for that, for the text. So there is going to be a Meet the Candidates for councilmen and legislators at the Caton Town Hall tonight at 6. Thank you for that. Steve Witkoff, is confident Gaza hostages' remains will be returned and the Abraham Accord substantially expanded. That is Steve Witkoff, still very confident. Lindsey Graham, good, and I'm glad to hear that from someone who's so instrumental in the peace deal. Lindsey Graham vows to force a vote, putting Democrats on the record over Trump's Gaza peace plan. I like that. Celebrities who called for a ceasefire in Gaza face scrutiny after Trump peace deal breakthrough and the ceasefire, and we have not heard from the people that were screaming it from the rooftop. Let's go to, a couple quick comments. Karen writes in, another great week of Frankly Speaking shows. Have a great weekend, all. Thank you, Karen. You have a great weekend as well. We did have a lot of fun. We got a lot of guests on next week's program as we grow very near to Election Day. So we'll have guests all next week. We're already booked up. I think I have one opening. I'm hoping, as we talked about earlier this morning, we can have Mayor John Buckley. Comment from a different viewer. I'm afraid I'm more fearful about the debate than ever. I could only watch about 15 minutes. I had to turn it off. I fear that we will feel the fallout strongly all across the state. Have a great weekend, Frank. Well, you have a great weekend as well. I agree. That's why, as a rule, even throughout the whole career, I haven't really ever focused on a mayoral race in New York City all that much. But this one has such huge implications nationally when you talk about the creep, or really the speed racing to socialism by the Democrat Party. I mean, the AOC, Bernie Sanders, both holding a major town hall on CNN. They are essentially the leaders of the Democrat Party. And then you have Mamadani, who looks like he's just going to sail into it very, very easily. So I understand it. It is tough. It is a tough time. A piece at the New York Post, if you get a chance. After the Gaza ceasefire, what will these faux revolutionaries protest next? What are going to be their ideas? Here's some of the ideas that they have. P.J. O'Rourke once said, they say that charity begins at home, but so does changing the world. Though, as the late, great P.J. O'Rourke said, everybody wants to save the earth. Nobody wants to help mom do the dishes. Anyway, I can't go through all of it. Yes, the No Kings rally. Did I miss somebody saying that? Oh, yeah, I missed a comment from a viewer. Good morning, Frank. Happy No Kings Protest Eve. It'll be huge if you can find one. Well, I like how they'll be able to stack the numbers because they have one in Elmira at 317 East Church Street from 9 till 11 a.m. tomorrow. And just so they can, let's say 100 people show up. So you get 100 there, but then the Corning rally will be from noon to 1 p.m. So you can bop over from Elmira to Corning, make both of them the same 100 people. Now you've got 200. And they'll add those numbers up across the nation and say that millions attended the No Kings rally. If you do go, let me know. Finally, Axios says Democrats are plotting Fetterman's ouster. That should come as no surprise. Thank you to everyone who joined us this week and this morning. Thank you for all the great comments. Have a great weekend. We'll be back Monday morning with Frankly Speaking. I look forward to it already.
Lease a brand new 2026 Nissan Rogue SV all-wheel drive featuring heated seats and heated steering wheel for only $359 a month for 36 months. Make Carbine simple. Drive your deal at Simmons Rockwell Nissan in Horseheads and Hornell.